Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about the month of May. And I really think that after what we've been through and all of the chaos, that the month of May will be sort of like a window of calm before the storm. So before I get going and start telling you all of the exciting things to look forward to in the month of May, I want to remind everyone to sign up for my free newsletter, and by doing so you will get all of my predictions delivered to your email address once a week. So you can sign up for that by going to my website galacticcenter.org, and while you're there, check out all the opportunities involved in being part of my Patreon. Because when you're part of Patreon, you get to join me every week live and join the Shooting Stars class and get my magazine and get my write-ups and participate in a spiritual community. It is so worth it. You can find that on galacticcenter.org, and most of all, you want to check out my Galactic Planner. My Galactic Planner will calculate your personal chart and put all of what I'm talking about today in perspective for you personally. What I'm talking about is affecting all of us as a collective around the world. But when you want to know what you should be doing personally based on your natal chart, then you're going to want the Galactic Planner. And you can find that at galacticplanner.com. So let's get going and start talking about this month of May, where I feel like things are going to be a little bit calmer after the past solar eclipse that happened March 29th and caused all sorts of discord throughout April. And this will be pretty much in effect for the next 6 months, because remember, when we have eclipses, they set the tone for the next 6 months. But May, I think we have a little bit of a break, because I think the months of June and July are what are a little bit more concerning, if I could say that. So what I'm going to talk about is how the planets are all separating, leaving the stellium, where there was this huge stellium of 7 planets when we had the eclipse, including Saturn coming into Pisces. Now they're all kind of dissipating. The month of May, we still have Saturn Rahu together, and that is intense. It really does fire up things concerning world leadership, and it does cause concern still that there is danger for world leaders in terms of what could be happening for their safety. So this is very important still throughout the month of May. Now, after Saturn and all of those planets kind of leave Pisces, what we are seeing now for the next year, the focus will actually be on Saturn with Neptune. Saturn's going to come together with Neptune, and they're going to interchange with each other very tight degrees, very tight, for about a year. And Saturn is reality, karma, while Neptune is illusions, deceptions, scandals, secrets. So what happens when Saturn and Neptune come together? It will be revealing the scandals, the secrets, the conspiracies. Everything comes to reality and truth, because Saturn is reality, and it's also the karma. The karma's beginning to play out from all of the circumstances and issues that have been brewing underneath the surface and building. And yes, all of this is all about exposure. Now it's going to come out bits by bits, but I think May is pretty much where we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. We really are. So, but I do think that things will calm down a little bit, especially with the stock market. And what I'm going to be talking about is the most spectacular thing that we have going on in May, and that is that Jupiter is going to change signs. Remember, I am a sidereal Vedic astrologer. So what I am talking about is the true placements of where the planets really are in accordance to the stars, to the constellations, the signs. This is astronomically correct. So it is extremely accurate in its effects and what's going on. Now, looking at this, as Jupiter changes signs, around May 14th, it's going to go into Gemini. And we're going to talk exclusively about Jupiter being in Gemini. Now, just remember this, that Jupiter stays in a sign for about a year. Give or take, you know, back and forth. Sometimes it goes in and out of the sign somewhat, but about a year. And it takes 12 years for Jupiter to go through all 12 signs of the zodiac. So it's really, really important that you consider where Jupiter is going to be in your chart. And I'm going to be talking about that in my next video for all the signs, because when Jupiter shifts into Gemini, you are going to want to know where it is in your chart, because Jupiter is the planet of abundance, wealth, opportunities, expansion. It makes things big. And sometimes that's not so good. We're going to talk about that too, because sometimes when things are overdone, over-exaggerated, it's not always a good thing. We need moderation. But Jupiter is not very moderate. But still, Jupiter is the planet that gives confidence and wellness and healing. It's the planet that we all look forward to in terms of when things are going really well. So whatever house Jupiter is transiting in other words, what house in your sidereal chart, Vedic sidereal, not Western tropical, whatever house it goes into for you, this will tell you what to expect for the next year. And the last time that Jupiter was in Gemini, this is what we do as astrologers. We go back in time, because although all the other planets will be in different positions, you still want to go back to see what it produced before. So as I said, Jupiter takes about 12 years to go through all of the zodiacal signs of the zodiac. The last time it was there was around 2013 and 2014. As a matter of fact, I looked back and it entered June of 2013 into Gemini and stayed there. Maybe it went in and out a little bit, but basically for a year till June of 2014. Think back what happened those years. That's going to be pretty much part of your experience this year when Jupiter goes into Gemini. Now let me tell you when it goes into Gemini. So it's going to be May 14th, Jupiter enters into Gemini, and it will basically, like I said, stay in a sign for 1 year, but there's a point where it will transit into Cancer shortly, but then retrograde back into Gemini. Now it's going to go into Cancer about October 18th through December 5th of this year, 2025. And during that time, it's just going to touch base into Cancer, 0 degrees, then retrograde back into Gemini. But during that window of time, I foresee that we're going to get a glimpse of what is going to be happening in the second half of 2016 to 2017, which I believe there will be a wonderful healing. We will be in a place of prosperity. We will be in a place of healing, coming together. And yes, I think everything that we struggled through right now will be in a clearing. It will be wonderful. So I'm looking forward to Jupiter being in Cancer, but we will get a glimpse from October 18th to December 5th. Now, from December 5th to June 1st, December 5th of 2025 to June 1st of 2026, that's when Jupiter will be back in Gemini. And it's funny because it'll pretty much shoot through the whole sign of Gemini between May 14th and October 18th. Then it'll touch base into Cancer. And then it'll go back through the sign pretty much, not all the way, in Gemini. So it will enter into the last degree of Gemini, and it will transit till June 5th, 2026 in Gemini. So that is almost a year, except for that little window. But let's talk about what Gemini is all about so that we can better understand what this is going to bring to us this particular time as it transits in Gemini. So what does Gemini rule? Gemini rules, number one, communications, education, travel, and most of all, commerce and trade. Does this sound familiar with the trade wars and the tariffs and everything that's going on? This is huge. So interestingly enough, that's what's going on. But let's go back to 2013 to 2014 and let's talk about what happened before. And the thing that really stood out to me going back to those years, around June, give or take, but throughout 2013, this was where Edward Snowden came out with all of the information that hit the airwaves, was WikiLeaks, right? And so WikiLeaks was actually, these were leaks that were exposing a lot of the secrets from the US military, which is definitely not a good thing. But all in all, there was, of course, other things that came out concerning politicians, concerning corruption. I mean, there was so much stuff that was exposed. And yeah, this was the first time that some major explosive events concerning exposure really hit the airwaves. And this was Jupiter in Gemini. So guess what this means? Yes, you got it. Lots of major exposures about to happen. If you think you thought you saw it all with what's been coming out, with all the things that have happened, oh my God, you haven't seen nothing yet. And I think it's going to be shocking and it's going to be unbelievable. And yes, this is worldwide, but of course the United States is probably one of the biggies considering all that the Doge that Elon Musk has started. Oh my gosh, they just got started. People will be in denial, but I can tell you, whether you like any of these players or not, there's just going to be major exposure around the world in every way, on everyone. There is nothing secret anymore. Okay, that's what I find so interesting. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about is education. All that's been going on in the schools, in the school systems, there's going to be a revamping of schools, education. And you know, Jupiter in Gemini is going to make it better. So no matter what you're hearing in the news, school and the way that teaching will prevail, will improve and get better during Jupiter's transit through the sign of Gemini. And so, and as I said, it will have a lot to do with traveling. And the traveling that I see, of course, a lot of it can pertain to space travel, advancements, inventions with that. But on top of that, of course, I think there's going to be more and more. We're building up to the big exposure with the extraterrestrials. It's going to happen. It's possible it happens this year with Jupiter in Gemini. But the other aspect of travel is cars. I see cars that are going to be self-driving cars. This is coming out. So as I said before, Jupiter in Gemini is going to bring out lots to do with AI, robots, self-driving cars. That's a big one that's going to come out this year, because a lot of us still are not trusting of cars that we're not driving. But it's going to improve, it's going to get better. And yes, you better think about some of the stocks that you can invest in. And as I said, as the stock market tanks, I hope that you took advantage of some of the sales that the stock market was offering, if you're able, because I know that in a year to a year and a half, the stock market will have rebounded and will be even better than before. So it's time. Now maybe you won't get it at its lowest low, but it's time to consider this. It's time to invest. And yes, it could go down again. June and July looks really testy, but after that, you better be positioned where you want your money if you want to invest in the stock market. But here's another thing about the fact that Mercury, Mercury, the word mercantile comes from the word Mercury. It deals with trade and sales. And with the tariffs, let me tell you something that I discovered about these tariffs that I was pretty surprised with myself. And that is the fact that Jupiter now in Gemini. In the chart that I use for the United States, there are 4 planets in Gemini. This means that transiting Jupiter will be transiting over all these planets for the United States chart, which is powerful, very powerful. These trades, people are saying, are going to cause a recession. They're going to be bad for the economy. They're not based on the charts I'm looking at. So you can doubt me all you want, but in a year and a half, we'll come back to this and you'll see. So here's what I see. So this should give you a little calm, because, everyone's up in arms and they're frightened. They're thinking this is, a major mistake. Well, here's why I think it could work out. Because looking at transiting Jupiter in Gemini, crossing over 4 planets in Gemini, here's the other thing. Once we have Jupiter cross over 15 degrees of Gemini, which will be pretty much in June or July, somewhere around the summer months, it is going to conjunct the natal Jupiter in the United States chart, which conjuncts President Trump's natal Mercury. So let me repeat that. President Trump's Mercury in his chart is at 15 degrees of Gemini. When you look at the United States chart, Jupiter is at 15 degrees of Gemini. And Jupiter is abundance and wealth and opportunities. In other words, Jupiter is positive. So whether or not you agree with President Trump, if you like him or not, this is something positive for the United States. Isn't that what we all want? Something positive for the world, something that benefits us all. And I think this could be good. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Not based on these charts. Okay, so I was actually very surprised when I thought about Jupiter going into Gemini with all this chaos going on with the tariffs, and thinking about Gemini ruling things such as trade and tariffs. and it's Jupiter, and it affects both the charts of the president in the United States in a positive way, there's something positive that will come out of it. That's what I see. So furthermore, I want to talk about where Mars is going to be this month. Mars is in the sign of Cancer, and it's very weak in the sign of Cancer, as a matter of fact. But Cancer is the sign of family. Mars can cause all sorts of discord and problems when it comes to the family being in Cancer. So you will find that families are not getting along as well as they should or they could. This is temporary. But one thing I do see, Mars actually rules real estate. And what I surmise should be happening, building and happening and moving towards this, especially in the month of May, is that the price of real estate should go down. Housing markets will become more affordable. And I think the interest rates will go down too to make the homes and properties more affordable. So this is what I see moving forward with Mars being in Cancer this particular month of May. So this is just the beginning. Now let me go back to another thing. Since I think this is a month where we're going to find it's calmer, it's not so radical, this is a window of time to take advantage of. In other words, if you've been putting off your trips, your vacations, this is the time to do it. Because I don't think there's going to be any horrendous world wars or things happening, such as April had the difficult eclipse. And towards the end of April, the Mars opposing Pluto. But Pluto is stationary this month, and Pluto is danger. So we're not out of danger by any means. And like I said, I do see things heating up and being much, much more destructive around the world, June and July. Because in those months, Mars and Ketu will come together. Mars and Ketu represent terrorism and fighting and war. So that's where it is. So here's what I'm trying to tell you about May. Take advantage of this window of a little bit calmer times. Go on vacations, spend time with your family, do things that give you a relief from all of the pressure and stress that we've all been incurring. But I do want to warn you, because Neptune and Saturn are coming together, and this month they'll be pretty close together. Not exactly like they will throughout most of the year, especially June, July, August. They will be almost the same degree, around 6-7 degrees of Pisces. That degree marking. So in May, we have Neptune is already there at 5-6 degrees. Saturn is going to be there around 5 degrees. This degree marking is the fixed star called Sheet. And if you want to look it up, it's S-C-H-E-A-T. I always use the hilarious way that I used to remember it when I used to do all my studies for all the universities that I studied with when I studied as a student in astrology. When I would memorize the fixed stars, I would always think of Sheet as the way it sounds, and that helped me remember the meaning of it, because they say it is a star of sorrow, and they say shipwrecks. And you see, this is in Pisces, dealing with the oceans. This is critical for travel on the sea. And as I keep saying, there's going to be a lot of oil leaks, ships that have, oil leaks and explosions around maybe gas or oil tanks, or where they They transport the oil, whether it's underneath the ground or whether it's on the ocean. But I think in the ocean, we're going to have some tankers and major, terrible oil leaks and explosions. But this also bothers me in the advent of traveling by the ocean. And what am I talking about? Cruise ships. I think we could have some major issues with cruise ships this year based on these placements of Saturn and Neptune. And just be aware there can be some calamities coming up. Instead of it being airplanes, it's going to be the oceans. So there's going to be, and major weather and storms with this. So it's probably weather and storms for these cruise ships that there's great danger. But you know what? There's another thing that's been building and coming to pass are pirates. We might see problems with this in ships. So this could be where some of the calamity in the war takes place. Yes, in war, in the waters, attacks with the naval ships and things of that nature. This is where there's going to be great loss and problems. Another thing that I see coming up here, and it will start in May, is the advent of some major cults. Neptune is spirituality and delusions and cults, and Saturn will bring it about. But I think what's going to also come out is the fact that there's been a lot of cults operating, controlling people's minds. I think it's through the airways. It's actually through the internet and social media that they are using things to control people's minds. You may think this is nothing, but it's really something big. This has been going on, and it's going to get more and more intense. Don't you kind of ask yourself how people can believe some of the stuff that they're believing right now? It's totally, completely, obviously wrong. It's because of mind control going on like a cult in the airways. Watch this. This is getting more and more and more intense. People that are weak-minded, that do not have a sense of their control in themselves, will be persuaded, just like people are in a cult, but with the media. And that's already been happening. But no, I'm talking something really extreme. Maybe, we're just going to uncover too how it has been happening, because really in my mind's eye, I cannot believe some of the things that people believe. I think it had to start with the COVID virus, all of that, the control. But now they have ways that they're controlling our minds through the airways, through the internet, through social media platforms, all of the above. Please watch out. Please, here's what I can say to you. Be strong. Do not follow everything that everyone else tells you. Be empowered. And be empowered to who you really are and what you're capable of doing. We all have this power to be in control of our own lives. And this is the time we've got to take back our power. And I always say, do you know what the most powerful thing we can do in this world? It's not having power. It is empowering other people to have their own power. That is exactly the opposite of cults. And that's where it must go. That is what I think is the awakening that's going to happen in this world. This is what the world needs. A total awakening to their own power. People finding themselves and doing what they love to do, not what they think other people think they should do. And when you do this, you become all-powerful. And no matter if it's business, relationships, working with our children, we become successful. And it promotes a sense of happiness in this life. When you are controlled in doing things against your will, you can never be happy. That's what I'm going to say. And that's what you're going to hear me saying over and over and over again throughout this year, because this is what this year is about. A transformation in consciousness where you will be able to find yourself, your own empowerment, where your gifts, your talents are, and what you are capable of doing. We all have it. So here is one more thing I want to put into action here, and that is, as of the time of the solar eclipse, which was March 29th, Saturn came into Pisces on that day. And what started in that event was the Kalasarpa Yoga. And the Kalasarpa Yoga is where all the planets are on one side of Rahu and Ketu. Rahu and Ketu are always exactly opposite. So I call this the axes of Rahu and Ketu. Now, the outer planets in Vedic astrology don't count in this yoga. So we have all of the planets. Now, yes, the moon will come in and out every 2 weeks. But basically, the Kalasarpa Yoga is when all the planets are here, even though the moon will be transiting in and out for 2-week intervals. But the Kalasarpa Yoga started March 29th and it will continue till July 28th when Mars goes into Virgo and breaks this yoga. What it is we are trapped now. And the way the ball's rolling, the momentum that it is running now, we can't stop what's already started. And what's already started is a certain destiny of events that must happen, must prevail, and will change our world. And yes, we're going to go through a dark, difficult time. But we have to get to the other side. And on the other side, I'm telling you, is a bright, beautiful world, because we have to reveal all of the darkness and the ugliness that's been going on. It has to be purged. It has to come out. And as it does, let me just say this, the healing will start. And that also goes healing for everyone individually in their own life. And that's what we all want. So Rahu and Ketu deal with destiny and karma. And our destiny is here. It's moving full throttle ahead. And there's no stopping it, but it's going to bring us to an evolution of awareness. Yes, I feel like the world is finally waking up. Don't let all of this cults from the media and social media, all that, they're putting things out there to control our minds. Don't let it control you. Listen to your gut knowing. Aside from all the hate and different emotions that the media is putting out there, if it's hateful, don't listen. Period. And you can determine if it's hateful. And there's going to be a lot of hate out there, let me just tell you. But this is how you can determine what to listen to or not. If it comes from a place of reality, realistic, healing, making the world a better place, then you better listen. That's truth. And that's all there is. So even though the time that we're going through is scary, and it is very uncomfortable, you have to know this, that we're going in the right direction. And this is going to heal us all as humanity. And you've got to have the trust that this is all going to happen, because we're moving towards it. And so I want you to have sort of like your own mantra, that to trust in yourself and know that the truth is coming out, and know that there's going to be a vast, amazing healing. And yes, there is an awakening, and consciousness is elevating. Even though you can't see it right now, the good will prevail. It always does. The light will prevail, and you are part of that, and you will prevail. Do not be afraid. The world is going through a birthing. And remember what I always say, to be born is very painful, and you have to go through that dark tunnel to get to the other side. But that's what's happening, and trust that the other side is a bright new world, because it most definitely is. So take advantage of this month, work on yourself, find yourself, empower yourself, and this will be an amazing month for all of us. So with that, I think I'll close. If you would like more information on me, if you would like to study with me, I have the best online school available for Vedic astrology. If you want to be my student, learn Vedic astrology, go to universityofvedicastrology.com, and remember, you can join anytime. And we have live classes every week. It is really a fun community and group. And you can also join my Patreon group. You don't have to know astrology to be part of that group. As well as, don't forget to sign up for my free newsletter. And if you want to live your life by the stars every day, get my Galactic Planner. Go to galacticplanner.com. universityofvedicastrology.com, that's my university. And don't forget, sign up for my free newsletter. Go to galacticcenter.org. Thank you.